Hey, welcome to The Explainer. You know, if you're an adult with ADHD, some days can feel like a total uphill battle, right? But what if you could do more than just manage it? What if you could actually thrive? Well, today that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're diving into some amazing strategies from therapist Phil Boissiere. And to kick things off, let's jump into a scenario that might feel, well, a little too familiar.
Okay, so picture this. The phone rings. It's that one client, you know the one, and they are not happy. You finally hang up and boom, it's all on you. You've got to think on your feet, create a solid plan, and then, here's the hard part, stick to it and get it done. Like right now, no checking your phone, no getting lost down a rabbit hole. Just pure, immediate, focused action. So, how are we feeling? Getting a little nervous just thinking about that? Yeah, if your heart rate just spiked, trust me, you are not alone. For so many adults with ADHD, a situation like that is like the perfect storm. You've got the emotional overwhelm, the scattered thoughts, and it's a feeling you probably know all too well.
But here's the good news. There is a way through it. So here's what we're going to cover in this explainer. First, we're just going to talk about the ADHD experience itself. Then I'm going to introduce you to your mental CEO. After that, we'll figure out your unique cognitive style, build a workout plan for your brain, and finally, we'll talk about what it really means to thrive.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the ADHD experience. Because honestly, before we can even think about strategy, we have to start in the right place.
Phil Boissiere, the author we're looking at, says it so well. Leave at the door any shame and self-doubt that life with ADHD has handed you. I am on your team. I mean, how great is that? The point is, this whole journey, it's not about feeling bad about yourself. It's about partnership. It's about building skills and unlocking your potential. We're in this together.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. Let's go from the feeling of ADHD to the function. Like, what is actually going on up there in the brain? Well, to get that, you've got to meet the CEO.
So the official term for these skills is executive functions. And really, they're the high-level mental skills that let us get stuff done in the real world. You know, things like planning a project, keeping your cool when you're stressed, setting goals, and actually reaching them. For adults with ADHD, this is often ground zero for the daily struggle.
And where does all this happen? In a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex. Boissiere has this fantastic way of thinking about it. He says, think of it as the big corner office where the CEO makes all the important decisions. I love that. It's your brain's command center. And our whole goal here, it's to get that CEO in the corner office to focus up and start making some solid decisions.
But here's something that's so important to remember. ADHD is not a one-size-fits-all thing. It looks different for everybody. So our next step is all about you. It's about figuring out your own unique cognitive style.
Basically, we can group these executive functions into 5 main areas: attention and focus, organizing and planning, mental flexibility, emotion regulation, and impulse control. So just take a look at that list for a second. Which one or two of those really pop out at you? Because identifying your personal challenges is the first step. It tells you exactly which mental muscles need a little more time in the gym.
And can we just get one thing straight? This is super important. Having ADHD does not make you dumb. It has absolutely nothing to do with how smart you are. It just means your brain is wired a bit differently, which makes some kinds of tasks more of a challenge. It's about a different operating system, not a broken one.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now it's time for the fun part, the how. This is where we get practical. This is your brain's new workout plan. And this right here, this is where things get really, really exciting. For the longest time, science thought that once you became an adult, your brain was pretty much set in stone. Well, guess what? They were wrong. We now know about something called neuroplasticity, and what it means is that your brain is flexible. It can change. You can literally build new pathways and rewire it all throughout your life. So, let's stop thinking about these strategies as just tips and tricks. They're not. They are exercises. It's a cognitive workout. You know how when you lift weights, you're actually creating tiny tears in the muscle so it can rebuild stronger? It's the same idea here. These exercises strengthen the neural pathways for your executive functions. You are actively building mental muscle.
So what does one of these workouts actually look like in practice? Okay, here's a classic one for dealing with those huge, overwhelming projects. It's called the 3-tier breakdown. Instead of staring at a giant mountain of a task, you break it down. Tier 1 is your final goal and the due date. Tier 2 is the big chunks, the major phases. And then Tier 3, this is where the magic happens. You break those chunks into tiny, actionable subtasks. So paint the house all of a sudden becomes go to the store and pick up paint swatches on Tuesday afternoon. See? So much less scary, right?
And you know, underlying all these strategies, there's one golden rule that Boissiere says is an absolute game changer. It's this: if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. Seriously, make that your mantra. When you get stuff out of your head and onto paper or into an app, you're freeing up so much mental energy for the important stuff.
This next idea is huge for impulse control. It's about shifting from being reactive to being responsive. Look at the difference. Reactive is something happens, you immediately act. Responsive is something happens, you pause, you take a breath, you think, then you act. That tiny little pause in the middle, that's everything. It gives you back the power of choice.
So all these tools, all these mental workouts, they're all leading us to our final and, I think, most important section. This is about changing how we look at the entire goal. Because this isn't just about coping or managing symptoms. This quote really brings it all home. When people are living well with ADHD, it means they become good at managing it and leveraging their particular cognitive styles to help them thrive. See that? The goal isn't to get rid of ADHD. The goal is to get so good at handling the challenging parts that you can start using your unique wiring, your creativity, your high energy, your unique perspective as a superpower. It's about truly thriving.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to chew on. What if this thing you've maybe spent your whole life seeing as a problem, a disorder, could actually be reframed? What if, with the right strategies and a new mindset, your diagnosis isn't a weakness at all? What if it's actually your greatest strength? Pretty powerful thing to think about. That's it for this explainer.